Hey, this is Pastor James, and we're glad to see you again on this online devotional. We're enjoying this walk through the Gospel of Matthew to reflect on the life of Jesus, to see the beauty and the wonder and the strength and the mercy of his life, and to decide what does it look like to be fashioned in his image, or to have his image formed in us so that we can be image bearers in the world. We've said before that the world has a lot of expectations of us, and how our image ought to be shaped according to their expectations, how we should talk, how we should eat, how we should dress, how we should act. And there's just too many people pulling on us in all different directions to find any peace in that. And so what we're suggesting to you is that the best route, the most freeing route, is to be formed in the image of Christ, to have our lives formed after his, so that in all that we do, wherever we go, we are image bearers of Christ. Because of his goodness, we know that there is no better image after which we can fashion our own identity. So today we're looking at a great story from the Gospel of Matthew in which Jesus walks on water and Peter attempts to walk on water as well. You may have heard this story before. I want to look just at Peter's part of it. It's in Matthew 14, verse 28 to 33. And Peter answered him, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." And Jesus said, "Come." So Peter got out of the boat and walked on the water and came to Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid. And beginning to sink, he cried out, "Lord, save me." Jesus immediately reached out his hand and took hold of him, saying to him, "Oh, you of little faith, why did you doubt?" Let me just pause there and let you know, he wasn't scolding Peter. He wasn't mad at Peter. He was trying to encourage Peter and to say, next time, don't doubt. You're going to be able to do this. And when they got into the boat, the wind ceased, and those in the boat worshiped him, saying, "Truly, you are the Son of God." It's a great story. You know, when we read that, we read it about like I read it, in which we read or we say, Peter says, "Can I come to you?" And Jesus says, "Come." And Peter gets out of the boat, walks on the water. And then our attention is drawn quickly to the wind and Peter sinking. But what an incredible thing. Peter walked on the water. It's hard to imagine that prospect. In our scientific minds, it just doesn't seem possible. It's called a miracle. And imagine what Peter learned there. You know, he took that risk to step out of the boat, and he did it. He walked. And there came a moment where the reality of what he was doing, I mean, that's a pre-scientific world, but he knew people weren't supposed to walk on the water. He estimated Jesus invited him out, and he could walk. But when he got his mind focused on the things of the world and the way things should be, he sank. And Jesus reached down and saved him. He cried out, and Jesus saved him. And he got back on the boat, and Jesus said to him, "Why do you have faith? Why do you have little faith? Why do you doubt? Next time, be more confident." And I think Peter came away with that with a greater trust in Jesus. He took a risk. He was successful for a little while. He failed. He cried out for help. Jesus reached out to him, saved him. And I think that just increased Peter's trust in Jesus. You know, that's pretty much the formula for how to develop our own trust in Jesus. If there's no risk, there will never be a trust. If we're going to trust somebody, we've got to take a risk first, right? I mean, I'm sitting on a stool. At some point in my life, I had to take a risk and sit down on a stool to discover that I can trust it to hold me up. When we have a relationship with a friend or a wife or a girlfriend or boyfriend, we take little risk and we discover that that risk was okay and they followed through, that we weren't surprised, and that created trust. Do you want to trust Jesus in all the big things in your life? Well, it begins with a risk. Risking something small And in that process, you will discover you can trust Jesus. But don't be surprised that there's some steps between risking and the trusting, right? There's risking and there's success, and sometimes there's failure. But in every time when we cry out and say, Jesus, save me, he shows up. He shows up. And because he shows up, we learn to trust him more. What risk are you willing to take? What risk might Jesus be inviting you into? What thing have you been holding on to that you've been wanting to try, that the way that God maybe has been wanting to stretch you and form you? You know, there's a beautiful image here in this story, which God is essentially saying to us, trust me. Don't be afraid. Take a risk. See if I don't show up, and if you fail, I'll be there for you. And if you're successful, I'll be there for you too, to celebrate with you. And the more we do that, the more we trust. Without risk, there's not trust. But when we risk, we create trust, and that trust doesn't disappoint. I would encourage you to think about what thing has God been calling you to do? What way maybe have you been wanting to step out of faith, but you've been hesitant to do it because you've not believed in yourself? Well, you don't have to believe in yourself. You just have to believe in the Jesus who's beckoning you to get out of the boat and to walk on the water and follow him. I hope that trust is yours. I hope you discover that, and I hope whatever thing that is that you've been waiting to do, that you'll take that step of faith and begin it today. It's great to be with you, and I hope as we go along here, more and more, the image of Jesus is being formed in you through this process. God bless you.